everybody. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Alice. If we've never met before, welcome. Today we're going to be doing just a short practice on creating space for the breath. So we'll do a couple of breathing exercises, we'll do some postures, and if at any time we do the breathing exercises, if at any time it becomes uncomfortable for you to do it, just let it go. You do not want to cause any stress surrounding the breath, so know that you can just return to your natural breath if you want to. I am going to light a candle for us to get started, and you can come into any comfortable position. I would recommend maybe even lying down today to begin your practice. Let's see what we got here. The Chart House, Honolulu. Another honeymoon matchbook. All right. So begin in a supine position. So lying on the back, you might want to bend your knees, bring the soles of your feet to the mat if you're feeling any strain in your low back. Maybe even bringing some height underneath the back of the head, like a folded up blanket or a pillow. So just grab that if you need it. And just come to your breath. So start to notice your breath and begin to focus really here now on our exhalations. So letting the exhalation come through an open mouth so that you can actually hear the sound of a sigh. Releasing any tension, any stress, worries, distractions each time you exhale. And since you're at home and you're by yourself, I'm assuming, just allow that exhale to be audible so that you can hear just that sighing breath. And we'll take just a few more of these open mouth exhalations. And then when you're ready, close your mouth and begin to breathe in and out of the nostrils. And remember, I said that if any of these breathing techniques are uncomfortable, you let them go. So if you're stuffed up and you can't close the mouth, then just breathe in and out of the mouth. So we're going to begin to breathe deeply. So start to think about breathing down deep towards the belly. So allow the belly to soften. Don't hold it in. And then continue the inhalation into the ribs, and then finally your chest, maybe even your collarbones. And then as you exhale, breathe out of the chest, then the rib cage, and then the belly. So just breathing more deeply will create space to breathe. So if you think about, especially as you're breathing through your rib cage, kind of expanding the rib cage in all directions. So, we're lying on our back, you might start to feel the back ribs pressing into the floor, the mat. You might start to notice the sides of your rib cage expanding out, as well as the front of the rib cage. So just continue to take these deep yogic breaths, breathing into the belly, ribs, chest, collarbones, breathing out, collarbones, chest, ribs, and belly. Allow the breath to be comfortable, so even slow it down. No need to rush. All right, so we're going to practice an interrupted exhalation. So let me explain what we're going to be doing first before we do it. So you're going to be taking that, full inhalation, belly, ribs, chest. And then as you exhale, you're going to release the breath from your chest and pause. Then you'll release it from the ribs, pause. And then the belly and pause. So think of dividing your exhalation into three. So the first third is that first exhalation, and you pause, then 2/3 of the breath, pause, and then all the rest of it, and pause. All right, so we're going to do 3 of these breaths, and then we'll take a break. We'll do them together, and then you'll do some on your own. So let's just take a few breaths. And then let's take an exhalation, and then we'll inhale into the belly, ribs, chest. Exhale from the chest and pause. From the ribs, pause. From the belly, so letting everything go, pause. And then take that full inhalation. And now exhale out 1/3 of the breath and pause. Another 1/3 and pause. Final exhalation, breathing all the way out and pause. And then one more time, take that full inhalation. Exhale out 1/3 of the way and pause. 2/3, pause. The rest of the breath, pause. And then just allow your breath to be natural for the next few breaths. We're taking just some little break from our pranayama. And then when you're ready, you'll just do this on your own. You'll breathe 3 of those full breaths with interrupted exhalation. So just begin whenever you're ready, taking in that full deep breath, and then interrupting your exhalations. Take your time. Again, take your time, but after that 3rd interrupted exhalation, you'll let your breath return to its natural, effortless state. So just breathing naturally, effortlessly. Creating some movements, and maybe just wiggling your fingers and toes a little bit. We're going to begin our practice with 2 postures, lying down. Okay. So we're just going to help create space again to breathe. And we're working on the sides of the body. Okay. So let's start by straightening the knees and just sliding the right foot all the way to the right edge of your mat, and then cross your left ankle over the top of your right ankle. Shimmy that right shoulder over towards that right edge of your mat. And then take your arms overhead. So I'll stand up and show you what this pose should look like. So you're creating a crescent moon shape with the body. Taking your arms overhead. You're going to grab onto that left wrist and create this crescent moon shape with the body, and then just let go of the wrist with your arms resting over your head on the floor. Now, if that's uncomfortable on your shoulders, you don't do it. You can let your arms rest alongside the body. But coming into this crescent moon shape, let your left shoulder and your left hip feel heavy, and just feel the space on the left side of the body. A little bit more space than the right. Become aware of the breath as it travels through the left side of the body. And I really like this pose because it's like you're creating space or length all the way from your foot to your fingertips. All right, let's take 2 more breaths. then we'll uncross the ankles. We'll release the arms back alongside the body, center ourselves once again. And then you'll slide your left heel to the left edge of your mat, cross your right ankle over the top of your left ankle, and then shimmy your shoulders over towards the left. Take your arms overhead. Grab onto your right wrist this time. Get that complete crescent moon shape from the right fingertips to your right toes. And then you can let go of your wrist, but again, if it's comfortable, have your arms resting still overhead. So right shoulder, right hip, sinking down towards the mat, creating that space on the right side of your body. And then, of course, adding the breath. Even if we don't change how we're breathing at all, you'll probably feel it creating space in the right side, on the right side of the body, the breath. So let's take 2 more breaths. And then on an exhalation, let your arms come back to rest alongside the body. Uncross your ankles, bring everything back into the center, and then bend your knees. Bring the soles of your feet to the mat. Your feet are hip distance apart. All 10 toes are facing forward. As you exhale, let the legs fall to the right. And then take your left arm back on the mat behind you. You can have a deep bend in the elbow. As long as this is comfortable on your left shoulder. If it isn't, don't do it, right? You don't want to cause that distraction, that pain. So having your arm here, again, if it's comfortable, and then notice as you breathe, you're just opening up the side ribs, you're opening up the armpit area, and just breathing into that space. Let's take 2 more breaths. And then as you exhale, release your left arm back on the floor. Inhale the knees back up to center. And then as you exhale, let the legs twist over to the left. You're going to take your right arm back this time. Again, comfortable on the shoulder, great. Not, don't do it. And then maybe close your eyes, just creating less distraction, noticing the movement of the breath in your body on the right side. So imagine that you're breathing all the way up into the armpits. You're expanding the right side of the rib cage. So, we have muscles in between the ribs, those intercostal muscles. Breathing deeply helps to stretch those muscles, creating more space for the lungs to expand. So let's take 2 more breaths on this side. And then with an exhalation, you can release your arm. Inhale the knees back up to center. And then as you exhale, roll to one side, come to a fetal tuck position, and rest. Make sure your head is supported, so your bottom arm, you can bend that, make a little pillow. And then as you inhale, use the strength of your arms to help guide you all the way up to a seated position. We're coming into some variation of a cross-legged position. So you might be crossing your legs. I am not. I have one shin in front of the other, but I just want you to have this triangle foundation with the legs. And I'm actually sitting on a block underneath my sitting bones. So sometimes having a little height, especially if you have tight hips, having that little bit of height underneath the sitting bones, it could be a folded blanket or a pillow, something like that, can really help to open up the hips. And it helps you sit up a little taller. All right, so letting the legs and sitting bones be our foundation. Let them move down towards the earth. Let the top of the head reach up towards the sky. And then we'll just set our right hand down next to us. So I'm on fingertips. Maybe you're on your palm, just depending on the length of our bones and all of that, the proportion. And then we'll rotate our left palm up and inhale, reach the left fingertips up towards the ceiling. At the same time, ground that left sitting bone. So this is how we're getting our stretch here. We're moving in opposite directions. Fingertips up, sitting bone, buttock down. And then on an exhalation, just lean over to the right. I'm just bringing a little bend in my right elbow. stretching long here. Take a couple of breaths. Not as easy to breathe into the right side of the body, but the left side of the body is really open here. We'll take one more breath. And then with an inhale, we'll rise up, rotating the palm out. Exhale, release your left arm down. So I'm coming onto fingertips here, rotating the right palm up. Inhale and lift, ground the sitting bone, and then a little side stretch. That feels good. And again, just noticing your breath. You know, the way we sit, stand, the way we hold our bodies can affect the breath big time. So just be aware of that. Let's take one more breath here. And then with an inhale, we'll rise up, rotating the right palm out. Exhale, release. And now let's rotate both palms up. And as we inhale, we'll lift both arms up overhead. And we're just going to do a little kind of shimmying side to side. So you're going to reach your left fingertips up higher than your right, and then you'll do your right higher than your left. And what I want you to think about is the bottom of the rib cage and the waist, and just trying to lengthen that space, creating more space. And this is great for a lot of reasons. You know, it helps to lengthen the spine. It creates space in the body for the internal organs, which is really nice. So we're just lifting and creating more space between the bottom of the rib cage and the waist. Let's go one more time to each side. And then when you're all done, rotate your palms out and exhale, release the arms down. Perfect. All right, so let's come to table, hands and knees. Always good to work the spine a little bit. Do our cat-cow. You know, if you don't have time to do much of a practice, the cat-cow is great. So today, since we're working on finding space on the sides of our body, let's come into these postures, but also kind of do some lateral, some side-to-side movements. So I'm shimmying my hips side to side a little bit. In my cat pose, in my cow pose, I'm going to try to my cat. Adding a little stretch there to the low back. Let's do 2 more rounds. So the next time you're in your cat pose all curled up, practice 1 more rounds. And then we'll make our way back to our table, our hands and knees. We're going to curl our right toes under. Stretch the right leg long, so you're straightening your knee, reaching your heel back. Firm up your right thigh, and then as you inhale, lift the leg just to hip height. Your toes are facing the floor, foot is flexed. We're going to cross that right leg all the way over past the left edge of your mat, plant your toes back down, and then gaze over your left shoulder. So now this is another one of those poses where you might feel the stretch from your right foot all the way into the head, creating length all along the right side of the body. Let's take 1 more breath. And then we'll inhale the leg, the head back to center. Either stay here with both hands on the mat or extend your left arm straight. I can't do that in this position because my room is very narrow. But you would reach your left palm to the right, reach your left fingertips forward. Let's take 1 more breath. And then on an exhalation, we're back to table. And I'm going to come here so I can demonstrate that pose on the other side with the full extension of my arm. Okay, so now let's curl those left toes under. Keep them on the mat as you straighten the knee. With an inhale, lift the left leg just to hip height. And then exhale, cross the leg over all the way past the right edge of the mat. You plant your toes back down, and then you gaze over your right shoulder. I'm even letting my hips move to the left a little bit more just to get a deeper stretch, and taking a couple of breaths just to feel that expansion, that space. Take 1 more breath. And then with an inhale, head and leg come back to center. Stay here or add the right arm. Your palm is facing left. So you're extending forward and back at the same time. The gaze is down at the floor. The top of your head is reaching forward. With an exhalation, hand and knee come back to the mat. Make sure your fingers are spread wide apart. You're reaching the tips of your thumbs towards one another as we tuck our toes under and lift into our downward facing dog. Now think of that space again between the bottom of the ribs and your waist. We're going to create length space there by pressing our thighs back, letting the hips wander back, stretching out that space there. Let's take one more breath. And then we'll start to walk forward towards the front of your mat, making your way to Uttanasana, your forward fold. If this at all is creating any stress in the low back, you're going to come up halfway and just stay there. If, however, this forward bend feels good, and you want to do a little bit more side-to-side movement, then we'll bend the elbows, place the hands in the bends of the elbows, and just begin to sway side to side. Only if this is comfortable on that low back. So we're letting our forearms come towards the long edge of the mat, like parallel to the long edge of the mat here. One more time to each side. And then we'll be back at center, releasing the arms. Let's bring hands right below the kneecaps. We'll come up halfway. Press the thighs back, hips wander back, top of the head comes forward. So again, that space there between the bottom of the ribs and the waist is getting longer here. And then on an inhalation, we'll come all the way up to standing. We'll let the palms join overhead. And as we exhale, let's bring the hands together at the heart. With an inhale, we'll take the arms up overhead. Exhale into our forward bend. Inhale as we rise up halfway. And with an exhale, we'll step our left foot back for a lunge. Let's lower the left knee down, uncurl the toes, and take the arms up overhead. All right. So we're going to take the right hand to the right thigh, reach those left fingertips up towards the ceiling, and do a little side bend over to the right. Now, adding the breath here, just noticing, kind of just adding awareness to the breath. You're not necessarily breathing any more deeply unless you want to. But noticing that maybe you're feeling the left hip flexor at the top of the left thigh expanding and moving with your breath. Maybe. How about one more breath here? And then we'll inhale both arms back overhead. I'm going to give you a choice. You can bring your hands to the mat, which makes this next move easier, or keep your arms extended up towards the ceiling as we tuck the left toes under and lift the left knee up, coming to a high lunge. Now placing the hands on the mat, let's step back into our downward facing dog. We'll come back to plank, or we'll come to plank, our first plank of our practice, reaching back with our heels forward with the crown of the head. And on an exhalation, bend your elbows back, lower all the way down onto the belly. And for this back bend, for this cobra, think of like moving your rib cage forward. So kind of shimming the rib cage forward as you lift into your back bend. With an exhalation, release. Inhale back to your plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, let's gaze forward in between the hands. We'll step that left foot forward this time, dropping the right knee, uncurl the toes, take the arms up overhead. So now the left hand comes to the thigh. We reach those right fingertips up just a little bit higher, side bend. And then just noticing the breath, bringing awareness to the breath. One more breath here. And then we'll inhale, both arms back overhead. You decide, are you going to do this move from here, or are you going to bring your hands to the mat? We'll tuck the right toes under. Inhale, lift the right knee up. With an exhalation, place the hands on the mat, step forward. We'll inhale halfway up to that long spine. Exhale, fold. With an inhalation, come all the way up to standing. And we'll exhale the hands to the heart. Let's inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. And as we exhale, let's step our left foot back for a lunge. Now, we are going to straighten our left knee and rotate all 10 toes towards the long edge of the mat. So you're just coming into a forward fold here. Feel as though you're stretching the mat in between your hands. Maybe fold a little deeper. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then with an inhale, let's come up halfway, bring hands to hips, elbows back. We're going to rise all the way up to standing. Bring weight into your left heel. Rotate your left toes to face that short edge of the mat. Let your right heel come behind your toes, so the right foot is on about a 45-degree angle. Let's bend the left knee and take the arms up to shoulder height for our warrior 2. Sorry. All right, so we're going to drop that left elbow to the thigh with the palm rotated up and take this right arm over the ear with the palm rotated down. So I want you to think about the ribs again here. The right side of your rib cage, that top side, is rotated back. The bottom side, the left side, is rotated forward. So we stay open. We're not collapsing in the pose. Let's take 2 more breaths. And we'll inhale ourselves back up to that warrior 2. With an exhale, release the arms. Inhale, the left knee straight. Rotate all 10 toes towards the long edge of your mat. And then bring weight into your right heel. Rotate your right toes to face the short edge. Take your left heel back behind your toes. Warrior 2. So we're gazing over our right fingertips. Taking 1 more breath here. And then hinging at the right hip, right elbow to the thigh, palm up, left arm over the ear, palm down. So creating length here all on the left side of the body from the outer edge of the heel to the fingertips. 1 more breath. And then we'll inhale ourselves back up to warrior 2. With an exhale, release the arms. We'll inhale this right knee straight. Rotate all 10 toes towards the long edge of the mat. Bring hands to hips, elbows back. Inhale, gaze up. Exhale, lead with the chin. As you come into that forward fold, once again, take a moment here just to feel the feet, the grounding of the feet. Imagine stretching the mat in between your feet. And maybe you're not very deep in this forward fold, which is absolutely fine. And you might even want to grab something, a box, a book, something, a block to hold on to. However, if your hands are on the mat, let's take our hands back in between the feet with the fingertips facing back, palms on the mat, just to create some space in the upper back between the shoulder blades, and just add the breath. So notice your breathing, your inhales into that space between the shoulder blades. Let's take 3 more breaths. And then with an inhalation, we'll come up about halfway. Press down firmly with your feet. Bring hands to hips, elbows back. Let's rise all the way up. We'll bring weight into our left heel. Rotate the left toes to face the short edge. Pull the right heel behind the toes. Let's rebend that left knee. Bring hands to the mat and step forward. With an inhalation, we come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to the heart. We'll inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, refold, maybe just a little deeper. Let's take 2 more breaths. And then we'll bring the hands to the mat, step back into our final downward facing dog, come onto knees, and rest in a child's pose. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And then we'll place the hands beneath the shoulders. With an inhale, let's make our way up to seated with knees bent and soles of the feet on the mat. And roll down onto your back. All right. So once you get onto your back, hug your knees into your chest. Rock side to side, maybe do some circles. And then we'll let our feet rest on the mat. Scoot your hips over to the right edge of your mat. Cross your right leg over your left. And on an exhalation, you'll be twisting to the left. Keep your right shoulder grounded. And then take the palm of your left hand, spread your fingers wide. Place it on the right side of your ribs. Just let it rest there. Close your eyes and breathe into your hand. So just imagine the space in between your ribs expanding, getting bigger so that you have more room to breathe. So we want to create room in our body to allow the lungs to expand. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then you can release your hand as you inhale. Bring your knees back up towards the ceiling. Uncross the legs. Scoot the hips over to the left. And then cross your left leg over your right. Left shoulder stays grounded. And as you exhale, twist to the right. So now taking the palm of the right hand onto the ribs, spread your fingers wide onto the left side ribs. Breathing in. Breathing into your hands, creating that space for the lungs to expand. Let's take 3 more breaths. And then release the hand. On an inhalation, bring the knees back up to center. Recenter your hips. And then if it's comfortable for you to straighten your knees, coming into Shavasana, just lying on your back. Make sure you're warm, so if you want to grab a pillow and a blanket, get all snuggly, go right ahead. Take a few of those deep breaths with open mouth exhalations. The sound of a sigh, letting go. Take a moment to send some thoughts of love and appreciation to your body. And if there's any areas of the body that need healing today, send them extra love, extra appreciation. And then allow your beautiful, amazing body to rest. Just release it deeply and completely down into the earth. Feel the support of Mother Earth beneath you, that strong, solid, unwavering support, and allow your body to rest. So our practice today helped to create space in the body to breathe, for the lungs to expand. But our practice in general helps to create space in the mind, letting the mind be focused on the present moment, not filled with worries and distractions. So the practice of yoga itself helps to create space in our lives. So when you're ready, allow some gentle movement to come into the body. Eventually bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet to the mat, and then roll to one side, coming to your fetal tuck position. Your head is supported, eyes are closed. And then as you inhale, use the strength of your arms to help bring you all the way up to a comfortable seated position. And here we'll bring the hands together at the heart. Bow the chin slightly down towards the chest. And let's take this opportunity to set an intention for the rest of our day. So think about how you want to live the rest of this beautiful day, this precious gift. May you take this feeling of peace and relaxation with you as you go out into the world. Namaste. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I am doing some classes on Zoom from Beverly Yoga Center. So if you'd like to go to beverlyyogacenter.com and sign up for those are 75-minute classes. Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. to 6:45, and then there's another class on Saturday mornings at 10:30 to 11:45. So I hope to see you there. It's great if you could support the studio. So again, that's beverlyyogacenter.com. Thank you all for joining me. To my friends and family, I miss you. I love you. To all my students that I usually see in person, I miss you. I love you. I will see you soon. Namaste.